Welcome back to Skin to It. I'm Marlo Sutton, fashion stylist and beauty enthusiast.
And I'm Dr. Sandy Skotnicki, board certified dermatologist.
Okay, today we have an episode just for the men.
Yes, we do.
And it's something that affects so many men, which we'll get into, and that is hair loss. This is going to be actually our first male-only topic on our podcast.
Yeah, and I think it still can be useful for moms of young men, because one of the things I noticed I have 3 sons, and my eldest son's friends wanted to come and see me in their early 20s to talk about hair loss. So if you're a mom of young men, this is also very helpful, because you can there's so much information on TikTok, and I think we did an earlier episode on hair, and what was the number? It was 262,000 videos on TikTok with over 9 billion views talking about hair loss.
Yeah.
So
it's a big topic.
It's a big topic.
For men and women.
So I want to thank our sponsor to start. We have Ducray sponsoring this episode. Ducray is a dermocosmetic brand developed by Pierre Fabre, focused on research-driven care for scalp health and hair thinning. These formulations are designed to support the hair follicle environment and complement medical treatments. From a dermatology perspective, hair loss is rarely just one solution. It's about consistency and combining approaches. Dermocosmetic products like Ducray can be useful additions for patients looking to support overall scalp and hair health. So thank you, Ducray.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's start simple. How common is male pattern hair loss? And what's happening?
So I think, first of all, the most common problem in men with hair is this male pattern thinning, which is also known as androgenetic alopecia. So we kind of look at it as a hormonal hair loss. So it's very common. Hence, all the young men coming to see me, all the stuff on social media. There's less stigma about it now. So it's a very topical topic. 50% of men by the age of 50 will have a bit of androgenetic alopecia, which is quite high.
Yeah,
80% over their lifetime. And it's really driven by something. And if you ask a lot of young men, like when my son's friends came in and they're like, okay, so, I want to decrease the DHT in my scalp, right?
Sure.
So they know the lingo. They know the lingo. So what's happening is testosterone is metabolized by an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. And that's a very important point, because that's where a lot of therapy is focused, is sort of decreasing that enzyme.
Okay.
Because that enzyme makes testosterone go into DHT, and at the hair follicle level, that causes miniaturization of the hair follicle. So the hair follicle kind of shrinks, becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it can lose its tether and fall out, but it can also stay like that. And that's just a slow process over your lifetime. And how much you get is really genetically programmed. We used to think it was just through the mums. Everything was blamed on the mums. So it's parental.
Right. It used to be that they would say it was like your mom's dad. If your mom's father had hair loss, that your
and that still holds. But now we know it's both sides.
It's both.
Yeah.
So you can't blame everything.
You
on us.
Can't blame everything on the moms.
But it is mostly genetics. Really.
It is genetics, but it seems to, it happens to everybody slowly over their lifetime. I think that, the follicles get old as well. But how quick it is genetics. Same with graying of the hair. Right. I had a patient yesterday. It was funny. She said, "What can you do about my gray hair?" And I was like, "Nothing. That's genetic. That's coded. I can't do anything. That's when your melanocyte just stops to make color."
Do you think that'll change?
Well, I'm sure there's probably somebody reaching it, but
there are. There totally are.
Oh, there?
Yeah.
Is
they
that
totally
on TikTok?
Are. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Who knew? But at this point, there's nothing I can do for your gray hair.
Okay.
That's what I told her.
Well, thanks. Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of talk about what actually works. And, we need to talk treatment. So when my son started to have his hair thinning quite young.
Yeah.
And I came to see you. He did a couple sessions of PRP, which we'll get into, and he was put on. I
think originally I put him on finasteride, oral finasteride, which I'm doing less of, and we'll get into that reasoning why. Well, let's talk about what's approved, because it's always good to start off with what's actually approved by Health Canada, FDA. There's 3 approved treatments. Number 1 is oral finasteride, because it has the most efficacious studies to show that it helps decrease male pattern balding.
Mhm.
Topical minoxidil in the 2 and 5%. Most people now use the 5%. That's what's available at the drugstore under the trade name Rogaine.
Okay.
And then I didn't know this, but the Hair Max laser comb is FDA,
FDA approved.
It's low-level red light. So the combing pulls the follicles, stimulates the blood supply, and then the red light kind of stimulates the bulb, which is a stem cell.
Okay.
And it can exist in the growth phase longer. So that's interesting. So those are the 3 kind of approved treatments.
Okay, so these all sound like really interesting, treatments for male pattern baldness.
Mhm.
So let's talk about, just give us a quick breakdown on each one,
Mhm.
and then about the off-label treatments that you're prescribing.
So overall,
Yeah.
the most powerful is dutasteride and finasteride.
Okay.
Dutasteride stronger than finasteride orally.
Okay.
Then we have oral minoxidil,
Okay.
right? That's the next best. Then we have topical minoxidil.
Okay.
And then this sort of new player, which we haven't studied that much, is topical finasteride.
And then can you talk about combining
them.
those?
Okay.
And is this something you are doing in your practice right
yeah.
now?
I've actually changed over the past few years how I approach this. And because new information, and there's a lot of studies coming out. And when we talk about off-label, it's because they haven't been studied enough. And most of that is, are there side effects that we're not knowing about, right?
Okay.
So the
But you feel
dutasteride,
comfortable at this to prescribe them?
I don't prescribe dutasteride because
Okay.
it's a very strong blocker of DHT, and the side effects haven't been studied well enough. Like, it decreases not only the DHT in the scalp, but also in the blood.
Okay.
And are there long-term side effects of that? I don't think we know. So,
Okay.
and I use less oral finasteride for that reason too.
I understand. So, but this is something you are looking at, watching, following. And as more studies come out, it might change.
So what am I doing right now? I use combo. Like you kind of said, not in everybody, but I pretty much use a lot of oral minoxidil because the side effect profile there, very minimal. Let's actually talk about them.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to talk about side effects, but let's talk about how you're combining.
Yeah, so the oral minoxidil I use for men at 2.5, and I go up to 5, sometimes even 7.
Okay.
I can combine that with, because I'm using less oral finasteride, I combine it with topical finasteride.
Okay.
Okay, and there's some good trials. There was a phase 3 trial looking at comparing oral finasteride to topical. And first of all, there was less absorption into the bloodstream with topical, so you don't have that risk, right?
Of side effects.
And it was similar efficacy. So why wouldn't you use topical finasteride?
Right.
Yeah.
But topical finasteride is not something you can get over the counter.
No, it's a
that has
prescription.
to be prescribed because topical minoxidil is Rogaine, which you can buy at the drugstore.
Good point. Very good point. And I want to mention something else. What we're doing, what I started to do, because it was just a study that was released in 2025, they looked at 7 randomized controlled trials looking at combining topical minoxidil with topical finasteride in the same solution.
Okay.
And that actually was much better to either alone.
Okay, amazing.
And it's a prescription. So you can get it. You have to go to a compounding pharmacy. If you get a drug plan. So
you actually get them to mix it together for you.
The compounding pharmacist does that. So what I'm doing a lot of now, today, 2026, is oral minoxidil for men.
Okay.
Anywhere from 2.5 to 7 milligrams.
Okay.
Problem with the higher dose, they can get hairy. We can talk about that.
But that's might be okay for some.
With some people. And then we combine it with the topical mix of minoxidil finasteride.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like a triple whammy here.
Yeah, but if you asked me a couple years ago, this isn't what I would have been doing. So things evolve.
Yeah. Well, of course. Of course. And they can still evolve.
And there's new meds, which we're going to talk about, emerging therapies.
Obviously, what really our listeners are going to want to hear is side effects. And I'm guessing that's what comes up a lot when men come to see you in the office.
Yeah, young men come in and they want to understand, like, okay, I understand that oral finasteride is the best, but there's all these side effects. And, what do you think? So as a physician. So that's why I'm using it less. And partly because the studies have shown the topical is similar in efficacy.
Right.
Okay, the main side effect with oral finasteride at 1 milligram, which is called alopecia, is in less than 2% of men, they can have decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, failure to obtain or sustain an erection. Okay. So it's very rare. And I still have a lot of men who take oral finasteride because they've been on it for a long time and they don't have any problems. The other issue is this sort of post-finasteride syndrome where I don't really know what to make of that, and it's not very well understood, where they can have persistent sexual dysfunction even after discontinuing oral
After
finasteride.
stopping it, right?
So because we just don't understand it a lot and don't really know the answers, when it's really uncomfortable as a physician when you can't give a concrete number or data. And again, why, if we know the topical is as effective,
Right.
why not
But
use it?
when did we know the topical was as effective?
Well, because of all these side effects, they started studying it.
Sure.
And again, we can't comment on things until we've seen a study properly. Like theoretically, it should work.
Right. And what about men who stop it when they are trying to have a baby?
Well, it's recommended. So it was recommended when I first started prescribing oral finasteride that when you're trying to conceive a baby, you come off it.
Right. And then does all the hair fall out?
No, because again, it doesn't work like that. It's not like minoxidil. Minoxidil's actively pushing a follicle into growth phase, extending the growth phase. So it's kind of like the water for the soil.
Okay.
And finasteride is decreasing the fertilizer, if you will. Like there's less, you're making less DHT. So the process is, you're sort of slowing the cog in the wheel.
Okay.
So it's a very different approach. So you can stop finasteride.
Okay.
There's also this whole signal about depression and suicide with the men on oral finasteride. But again, we can't, the studies were not clear. And if you look at sexual dysfunction and depression in the general population, it wasn't that different in percentage. So there's just so many unanswered questions with oral finasteride. So I kind of am steering away from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair. Okay. So let's talk about the newer things, because you mentioned the comb, which actually does have FDA approval.
Yeah. Interesting.
And what about PRP?
PRP is
well, let's say what PRP is. I mean, I know platelet.
Yeah. Platelet-rich plasma.
Rich plasma.
Yeah.
I was just about to say
so, it's not approved. The point is, it can help with follicle growth, stability, anchoring of the hair, maybe a bit more robust hair.
Mm-hmm.
I think Max, your son, tried it for a while.
He did a couple. He did, I think, 2 sessions.
The problem is it's still kind of evolving. We don't know how often, how deep. I mean, it has to be deep enough that it's at the level of the hair follicle.
Mm-hmm.
So, this micro needling that sometimes people want to do at home, you got to get down to 2 millimeters.
Right.
Down to the bulb of the follicle. So it has to be deep enough. And then you're putting the, platelet-rich plasma. So essentially what patients do, they come in, you've had it done. We take your blood, it's centrifuged or spun down. We take off the yellow serum, which is the plasma, has growth factors. And, the point is it can be helpful. It can be an adjuvant to other therapies. Some people don't want to take any medication.
Sure.
So they can do this.
Mm-hmm.
But
and how many sessions?
So typically the protocol, and it varies where you go. What we do in my office is we do 3 sessions 1 month apart.
Mm-hmm.
And we see if patients have any improvement.
Yeah.
If they have some improvement, and they like it and they think it's worthwhile, because you have to pay for it as well. It's not covered.
Right.
Then we do maintenance sessions every 3 to 6 months. So a couple times a year.
Okay. And who do you think responds best to it?
We don't know. That's the thing. We don't know who's responding well. I'll tell you who does. So it's not useful for inflammatory hair loss, because I'll have patients come in with alopecia areata where they have the bald spots, or they have an inflammatory condition, and you don't use it for that. You use it for androgenetic alopecia and the telogen, the shedding hair.
Okay.
But it's not going to help with inflammatory hair loss.
Okay.
And if you have too much hair loss, like the follicles are too small and you're quite advanced, like you're quite balding, it's not really going to help. It's not going to help that much.
So it could be helpful if you're the right candidate.
Yes, if you're the right candidate.
And I guess you can maybe get a sense if you do a couple of sessions whether you think it might help, and then decide if you want to continue.
Yeah, that's kind of how we recommend it in my clinic.
Okay.
And how most people do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, let's get into, our sponsor for today and what we can do, like what people can actually do on a day-to-day basis, to help their hair follicles grow.
Yeah. So I think, it's not easy to see a dermatologist. A lot of family doctors are comfortable with prescribing oral finasteride because it's been around a long time and they know the studies. so some people will already come on that. But before, like if you're a young person or you want to start something and you can't get to the doctor, that's where these sort of brands are helpful. So Ducray has a whole line, which we've tried.
Yeah.
They sent it. I've tried it over the years. And
I will give it to my son.
yes, I give the shampoo and conditioner to my and the serums to my son. So, it's good for people who just want to optimize their scalp health. They want to use
Sure.
a shampoo and conditioner that are going to potentially target their hair loss. And there's 4 products. So the shampoo and conditioner have vitamin B and zinc and biotin, which helps with the scalp health and the
Okay.
hair strength.
Yeah.
Then there's a serum. It's called neoptide, which a lot of Ducray products are plant-based.
Yeah.
And they look at plants and look at try to find active ingredients that might solve a problem. So this neoptide is based on extracts from milk thistle.
Okay.
So they've sort of localized 2 chemicals. One's called anchorin. One's called I forget the second one, lepidenza. And they
Nice.
basically help increase the blood supply to the follicle. They help stimulate the bulb. And they have in vitro studies, and they have one randomized control study for another product called Creastem, which helps more with the shedding.
Okay.
So they have studies to back up what they're talking about. So I recommend it. I used to sell it in my office. And I think it's a good adjuvant to the oral therapy if that's what they end up going on, and something good to start with.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And what about, can men get, I mean, we talked just about androgenetic alopecia, but what
Yeah.
about telogen effluvium? And like,
They can, but men seem to get it less. And I don't know what that is, because telogen effluvium is a result of stress, right? So the most common example most people would know is after women have a baby, they often shed hair
Sure.
because it's stressful delivering a
Yeah.
baby. And then, car accident, death in the family, COVID, we saw a lot of hair shedding. But men seem to have it less often. And I think part of that, and we talked about this in other hair episodes, is iron. So
Okay.
women traditionally have lower iron levels because
of their periods.
menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
So men don't seem to have hair shedding as much. And with androgenetic alopecia, if you understand, the hair is miniaturizing, that it's not shedding.
Yeah.
So they don't have that as much as we do.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So if I understand, obviously these products are a real support
Supportive.
for any other treatments
Yeah.
that you might want to.
Yeah, I mean,
to
we always get
look
asked,
at.
what shampoo should I use?
Yeah.
I go, well, use this, has some science behind it, and there is some also evidence that dandruff and inflammation of the scalp inflammation can aggravate hair loss.
Sure.
So Nizoral contains an antifungal ketoconazole, which has also been shown to decrease DHT.
DHT. Yeah.
So if people have a bit of dandruff, I'll say, okay, use Nizoral once a week, use this shampoo the other times a week.
Okay.
And so you're doing sort of a maintenance. And then when you get to see the doctor, if you have significant hair loss, they'll potentially prescribe oral finasteride, oral minoxidil, topical minoxidil and finasteride, or some combination.
Okay. So my other question before we just get to what's new and exciting that's coming out is, let's say the follicle has, you come to the doctor and the follicle is quite shrunk, and you decide to go on an oral minoxidil, and you're doing these combinations. Can the hair actually grow
Yes.
back?
Yes, some of it can.
Some of it can.
So if you get it early enough, and that's why I think one of the approaches that men should take is it's like it's a routine, right?
Yeah.
So minoxidil topical is your base, add the dermocosmetic shampoos, Nizoral potentially if you have dandruff, and then add your prescription drug. So the earlier you start, to get to your point,
okay.
if the follicle hasn't miniaturized so much, you can often bring some of it back. And I think it wasn't Max. It was a friend of I'll give him a shout out here, Saunders. He called me. I put him on oral minoxidil, and he goes, "Oh my God, you saved my life. My hair has all come back. All the
Wow.
frontal hairlines come back." Actually, I wanted to make a point that some of the studies there's a location bias with some of the drugs, meaning if you have frontal hair loss,
Okay.
traditionally oral finasteride worked better for that.
Okay.
If you have crown and vertex, oral minoxidil or minoxidil work better from that. Now, minoxidil works for all areas because it's kind of like you're adding, you're growing back hair.
Okay.
Whereas again, finasteride's sort of slowing the cog in the wheel.
Okay.
But so if you have more frontal if I put people on oral minoxidil or men on oral minoxidil and the frontal isn't coming back as much, I might add the topical finasteride or the
Topical
oral
finasteride.
finasteride. Yeah.
And I know we talked about side effects with the oral finasteride, but what about oral minoxidil side effects?
So the oral minoxidil side effects, you can get really hairy. You can, you can be like Wolverine,
but not depression and
none of that stuff. So that's the thing. That's the great thing about minoxidil generally is it's just you don't have all those nebulous side effects to deal with because it's not a hormone drug. Like it's not doing anything to the DHT.
Okay,
it's increasing the blood supply. We actually don't fully understand how minoxidil works.
So interesting.
So in women, it can be a problem with hair, but with facial hair. But with men, most of them don't mind if they get a bit of increase in the facial hair, and it's dose dependent. So if they are, we can lower the dose. So sometimes it's a trade-off.
Okay.
But I wanted to also say about the oral, the topical finasteride, which we didn't mention, is some of it still, even though it's topical, you still can have some decrease in the blood levels of DHT. So it's not completely innocuous.
Okay, so let's wrap up because I know there's some really exciting things coming for men in hair loss treatments. You hear in the background, that's Odin. Yeah. Our mascot.
Our mascot, yeah.
So let's talk about what's exciting, what's new.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised that there's so much activity in this because this is big numbers.
Always
big money.
Always has been, right?
Yeah, but with the social media, like we talked about the numbers. So, I mean, there's a lot of companies working on things. So the most interesting one, which I've heard a little bit about, I don't really know that much about, it's called PP405. You know when it still has a number that it's, yeah. Right. And I'm not fully understanding. It's a mitochondrial pyruvate carrier inhibitor. What does that mean? It's got nothing to do, again, with affecting the hormone levels. It doesn't work like minoxidil. It's basically trying to switch the hair stem cell, because the follicle is a stem cell, and turn it into turning on the genetics to make it grow again.
Okay.
It's all got to do with mitochondrial metabolism. So that's really interesting. I think it'll be anything that has less side effects and can turn the bulb on is going to be great.
And they're looking at like it's topical and also potential oral. Okay.
So it's very early in studies. I don't actually know that much about it. Then we have a drug that we use topically in a cream to treat adult acne in women. Mm-hmm. So it decreases testosterone at the follicle level because a lot of females in their 30s and 40s have hormonal acne.
Okay.
So they're looking at the same molecule, which is called clascoterone, which is it's similar to testosterone. But they're looking at it topically in men for hair loss, and it's showing some promise. So watch out for that one. And then the last one is this pyrolutamide, which is kind of similar to the dutasteride, finasteride. It blocks DHT at the follicle.
Okay.
And it's topical, but it doesn't seem to have any systemic effect or internal effect at blocking the blood levels of DHT. Okay. So that is just going to be a new novel topical. And it'd be nice because then we don't have to send people to compounding pharmacies. Like if it's a actual drug serum that we could prescribe and it has studies, that would just take that whole, because when you get things compounded, you never know, there's no consistency in the percentages potentially of what you're getting.
Okay. Yeah. I think what would be interesting is as studies come out is that we do follow-ups on this for sure.
Yeah, I think we could do a follow-up in a few years and see what's changed because this is a very active area in pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, so just to simplify, because I know we gave just everyone a lot of information. So let's say, okay, what you should do, what a man should do, what's the best course of action, keep it simple, like first steps.
So let's say Max came to see me in my clinic today. So I would say, whatever you do, you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And the first thing is, he's already been on things. So let's say somebody who hasn't, another friend's son came to see me, hasn't been on anything. I would say this kind of stuff, Ducray for day to day. Okay. If he had dandruff, I'd add in Nizoral once a week.
Yeah.
If he had significant hair loss, I would start with I'd give him the option of starting with topical minoxidil versus oral.
Okay.
Money, time, all that stuff. So we make that choice.
Okay.
I have been steering away from oral finasteride. I may give him the topical minoxidil finasteride combination.
Combo?
It also depends on a drug plan because that's expensive. And we have
Okay.
to take this into account because these are lifelong things.
Right.
Adding another $100 a month to somebody
Sure,
could
it's a lot.
be a lot. So we take all of those approaches and also, the stage they're at. So that's kind of where I'm at today.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, I mean, right now, I guess, can you get oral minoxidil over the counter?
No, it's a
Right.
prescription.
So you have to see a doctor unless the only thing really that's non-prescriptive would be the topical minoxidil right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And family doctors, again, I said are
Obviously, and
the-
supporting it with like Ducray products.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you have significant hair loss, it is beneficial to see the dermatologist.
To go to your dermatologist to really figure it out. Okay. And then what other things should they definitely come to see you for?
Well, I think again, the rare types of hair loss, like the inflammatory kinds, we call them lichen planopilaris, frontal fibrosing, they seem to occur more in women.
Okay.
The main issue with men is male pattern balding. They don't get a lot of shedding. So the topic is fairly concise. Like it's start with over-the-counter stuff, add in topical minoxidil, then add in oral minoxidil, and then maybe some topical finasteride.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, that's such great information. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it was a very complicated, because all the terms, and I hope I didn't get off track, but I think everybody got a lot of information there.
Yeah.
And moms too.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
no, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's actually pretty sort of clear. And also, like we said, it's exciting to see what's happening.
Yeah, we'll have a recap in a couple of years and see what's new.
What's
Maybe
new?
my approach will be completely different.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to Skin to It. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you can, please like us, subscribe. It helps us bring you more content. And we'll see you next time on Skin to It.
Thank you so much to Ducray.
Yes, thanks to Ducray. Catch us every Thursday for a fresh exclusive dose of Skin to It. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on the skincare wisdom. We will guide you through the maze of skincare and cut through that noise to help you achieve your healthiest skin. Loving our podcast? Share your thoughts and help us grow by leaving a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until we meet again, see you soon on Skin to It, your guide to healthy skin.